1987 may not have been a season to smile about, yet Frank Gantz believes that the Kansas City Chiefs will make 1988 a year to remember. While the Chiefs' silver anniversary season in Kansas City was a disappointment, Gantz remained a tireless motivator, a positive force, and a man respected by his players. He instilled in the Chiefs a confidence and a spirit that could not be shattered, not even by a treacherous mid-season losing streak. The true character of the Kansas City Chiefs sprung forth in the season's final 5 weeks. Powered by pride, this team engineered a finishing kick that was smooth and strong. It promises a 1988 that will be plentiful, abundant with the excitement of a talented team coming together. The expectation is a return to the playoffs. Despite a 1987 that produced an unlikely turn of events, the Chiefs remain committed and united. For the Kansas City Chiefs, it's all about keeping the faith. Frank Gantz's first training camp was a reflection of his personality. Upbeat, optimistic, exciting. After an exhilarating playoff run in 1986, the Chiefs were preparing to scale even greater heights in 1987.
This team has no limitations on it. It's a team that I think can go as far as it wants to go if we believe in ourselves and take the proper attitude of going out there and working hard and facing the challenges each week that the NFL has to offer.
Changes were made and challenges met as the Chiefs used a 4-game preseason winning streak as a stepping stone to their opener against the division rival Chargers at Arrowhead. The tough lessons of summer were learned. The hard knocks of fall belong to the Chiefs. This was a team on the rise, confident that success would follow them through another grueling NFL season.
Back to pass Fouts. Goes in the end zone. Intercepted by Cherry. Wow! Deron Cherry has just intercepted quarterback Dan Fouts for the second time today. From the 43 of San Diego, the Chiefs first down and 10. Here's a pitch out of Koya. There's a block. There's a hole. Koya breaks it free. 40, 35, 30, 25, 20, 15 on the sideline, 10, 5, touchdown!
Second-round draft choice Christian Okoye scored the season's first touchdown, and number 1 pick Paul Palmer secured the victory.
Taken by Palmer at the 5, runs at the middle of 10, the 15, breaks a tackle, 20. He's gone! He's gone! He's gone! 30, 25, 20, sideline, 5, touchdown!
The Chiefs were winners, and everyone believed the victory ride was just beginning. As 1987 emerged, this team stood tall in the saddle, but the Chiefs were shot down in Seattle. And before they had the chance to get back up on their feet at home, the player strike took their breath away. The regulars returned to a 1-4 record, and September's promise had become October's gloom. In the first game back, Carlos Carson's 197 receiving yards couldn't overcome a loss at San Diego. As the cool winds of November blew in, the Chiefs needed a gust of emotion. Chicago would be the eye of a Chiefs storm that almost blasted the Bears out of Soldier Field. Behind an offensive line of John Alt, Irv Eatman, Rich Baldinger, David Lutz, Mark Addict, Brian Joswiak, and Tom Baugh, the Chiefs' passing game tamed Midway's monsters.
The Chiefs from the Chicago 15, dropping back to throw Kenny. Out of time, loops a spiral pass in the end zone. Caught, touchdown, Jonathan Hayes in the corner of the end zone. And the Chiefs lead the Chicago Bears 13-0.
The Bears were getting eaten alive on their own turf. Their sharp edges finally broke through. But they were matched hit for hit by a Chiefs defense that turned much of the game into a power struggle. Territory was at a premium. For the better part of 3 quarters, it was the Chiefs who clawed and fought and did whatever was necessary to grab hold of victory in one of the NFL's toughest stadiums for a visiting team to win.
Here's the handoff to Moriarty. Flips it back to Kenny. Kenny's going to throw the bomb. Downfield, he's got Page. Touchdown! What a throw and what a catch! And the Chiefs are up 27-14.
In an outcome that symbolized the season's frustration, the Chiefs fell to Chicago in the closing moments. Perhaps no game pointed to the craziness and unpredictability of 1987 more than this one. 1987 saw some new seeds planted that yielded a bountiful harvest in the running game. It was a breakthrough season for the Chiefs as they featured their most productive crop in 7 years. This is a unit on the verge of something special. Herman Hurd, Larry Moriarty, and the team's 2 top draft choices, Paul Palmer and Christian Okoye, ran around and through NFL defenses. A versatile combination of power and speed, anchored by the 253-pound Okoye, the league's leading rookie rusher. Okoye's swift rise to the brink of NFL stardom is extraordinary. It was only 4 years ago that he touched a football for the first time.
In 1984, when I wasn't picked to be in the Olympics, I made a decision to do something else. And I thought about playing soccer. I was too big for soccer. So I considered football. I went and talked to my football coach. And he said, yeah, to come out. I went out and I worked out with the team, and then, from there I started improving and everything, and I decided to stay with it.
Remarkably, from game 1, Okoye was a force, as a runner and as a receiver. He stuck with it enough to demonstrate the diverse skills of a great back, and there's no question that this world-class athlete will carry quite a load in 1988. And there's more to look forward to. The steady resolve of fullback Larry Moriarty. The grit and glitter of Herman Hurd, who sparkled in the season's final 5 games. He finished 1987 averaging nearly 6 yards every time he carried the ball. And Paul Palmer's impact will be felt even more in 1988. In limited action at running back, number 26 flashed his good looks, helping unmask a ground game that will continue to reveal itself not as a phantom, but more like a Rembrandt.
Pitch out, Hurd cuts the corner, crosses the 35, keeps his balance, squirts through. 30, 25, 20, 10, 5, touchdown!
While the running game burst forth like a meteor, the defensive secondary blazed another path of brilliance across the playing fields of the NFL. And in 1988, Tom Bettis, the man who molded the secondary during the team's Super Bowl era, returns to coach the league's finest unit. All part of the great tradition of outstanding defensive backs in Kansas City.
I think it's been over a period of time. I think just the tradition here of playing in the secondary with the Chiefs. They've had some great defensive backs over the years, and I think it's just a tradition that has grown. And the challenge of going out there and playing well and making big plays to put your team in a position to win football games is a driving force for us to go out there and make as many turnovers as we can.
No player in pro football has more interceptions over the last 5 seasons than Deron Cherry. While Cherry made the Pro Bowl for the 5th consecutive year, Albert Lewis earned his first trip. Once again, in 1987, number 29 displayed the reckless tenacity that has become the signature of the league's most complete group. Kevin Ross and Lloyd Burroughs, along with Sherman Cockcroft and J.C. Pearson. All part of the best and the brightest of NFL secondaries. Two years ago, the Chiefs' defense hit its way near the top of the charts. The challenge for new defensive coordinator Rod Rust is to bring back the pulse-pounding rhythms that shatter offensive arrangements. Like Tom Bettis, Rust has returned to Kansas City for a second time. He'll work with a solid nucleus that includes Mike Bell, Pete Koch, and Leonard Griffin up front, and young linebackers Aaron Pearson, Jack Del Rio, Tim Cofield, and Lewis Cooper. The heart and soul of the Chiefs' front seven lies within the body of 2 remarkable performers. One is linebacker Dino Hackett, number 56, the team's leading tackler. He's a man who takes his job rather seriously. The other warrior is the man in the middle, nose tackle Bill Moss, number 63. A second straight trip to the Pro Bowl highlighted another outstanding year for Moss, the key to the Chiefs' defense. The talent remains. The Chiefs expect 1988 to be a year when offensive barriers are broken down. A losing streak takes its toll on the entire organization. Yet, the unique gift of Frank Gantz is his boundless optimism. Gantz is a believer, and his team never lost faith. The real Chiefs busted out in the season's final 5 weeks, including convincing victories over the division rival Raiders and Seahawks. The old guard produced a new brand of winning football. Bold, aggressive, imaginative. This was Frank Gantz's way, with contributions coming from the entire roster. And veteran impact players rising above the crowd to give lofty performances. The league's finest special teams unit showcased its talents, as Nick Lowry established an NFL record with his 3rd game of 2 50-yard-plus field goals in a Thanksgiving Day victory at Detroit. These real Chiefs played with an excitement and a flair that promises a bright tomorrow, and the team's goal of winning a championship remains the same. Nothing is sure in the NFL, but you can be certain that Frank Gans believes his Chiefs are on the brink of something big. With Bill Kenny at quarterback, the Chiefs' offense has that look of a contender. It's a striking countenance, one that reflects experience and poise. And in 1988, Kenny will work with a new offensive coordinator, George Sefcik, a highly respected assistant beginning his 16th NFL season. As 1988 takes shape, Kenny is the unquestioned starter, backed by veterans Steve DeBerg and Frank Sire. But the 9 of Chiefs is the wild card. The offensive deck is stacked, with Kenny dealing to targets like tight end Jonathan Hayes and elder statesman Henry Marshall, who surpassed Otis Taylor as the team's all-time receiving leader in 1987. Few teams can match the dynamic duo of Carlos Carson and Stephon Page at wide receiver. Swift and spectacular, they combine with Kenny to give the Chiefs a passing game that can strike suddenly from anywhere on the field. 2 daring flyers who deliver the goods. In 1987, Carson was the only player in the AFC to top the 1,000 milestone in receiving yards. And he now stands alone as the only Chief to exceed 1,000 yards 3 times.
Kenny in the shotgun. Dropping back Kenny into the snap. He guns a pass. Spiral far side. Wide open Carson. 30, 20, sideline. Foot race. The time. Touchdown.
Week 15 saw these new Chiefs renew an old rivalry with the Super Bowl-bound Broncos at Mile High Stadium. For Denver, a must-win on the road to a division title. For the Chiefs, a chance to flex their muscle against the best in the AFC. A slow start had the Chiefs on their heels through a first half that Denver dominated, but a stinging counterpunch by Herman Hurd pulled Kansas City off the ropes.
First down, 10 yards to go at the Kansas City 36. Chiefs trail 17-3. Kenny pitches out near side Hurd. There's a block back William. Strained Hurd free. 40, 50, cuts to the middle of the field. 40, 35, 40, down the middle, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown.
In front of a hostile Mile High crowd, Kenny then took charge of the game. In the fourth quarter, he completed 14 of 19 passes as he brought the Chiefs to the brink of victory.
Bill Kenny, short drop back, Boston arching past the end zone. Touchdown, Stephon Page!
The Chiefs had outplayed Denver in a stirring second half. It was the Broncos who were now down for the count. And who better to send the game into overtime than the remarkable Nick Lowery?
It'll be from 36 yards away. Lowery has gone 3 steps back and now 2 strides to the side. There's the snap. There's the hold. The sucker-style kick is up, and it is no good. Wide. No good. Lowery has missed a 36-yard field goal attempt, which would have tied this game.
Whoa, brother. One of the most accurate field goal kickers in the history of the game.
This is the sight Chiefs fans are more familiar with. In 8 seasons with the Chiefs, Lowery has connected on nearly 80% of his kicks, making him the 3rd most accurate marksman in NFL history. No active kicker has been more successful from 50 yards and beyond, and only the great Jan Stenerud has mastered that distance more. As the Chiefs look to 88, number 8 remains as spectacular as ever. When the Seattle Seahawks marched into Arrowhead on the season's final Sunday, they had home field advantage in the playoffs on the line. The Chiefs had something to prove to themselves, and their pride exploded in a barrage of big plays.
Back to pass Kenny, short drop back, cocks his arm, goes long, over the shoulder catch at the 50, 40, 30, Carson, sideline, 20, 10, breaks a tackle, 5, he's in for a touchdown!
It was an overwhelming display of power and grace, and it stated rather forcefully that the time is at hand for these Chiefs to take their place among the AFC's best. They staked their claim for 1988. This would be the year to celebrate.
Backpedaling is Kenny. He found a receiver. Long down the middle for Page. Caught over the shoulder. 15, 10, 5, touchdown!
Yes, the one-loss record of 1987 was not what the Chiefs had anticipated. But there's more to this story than just numbers and statistics. It's about men growing up together, fighting through adversity to share in the excitement of winning football. The detour has been cleared. The road to success has been revealed. It's a path the Chiefs fully expect to lead them back to the playoffs. When the quality is there, sometimes it's just a matter of keeping the faith.